poked away, picked up by Andre from 3/4 court, and he hit it! He had his eyes on the prize and let it fly!
What's going on, everybody? It's another edition of the Tanndemonium Sports Show, a part of the Vendetta Sports Media podcasting network, broadcasting live exclusively on twitch.tv. I'm your host, Bryan Tann. In the booth, we've got Courtney, don't call a plumber, because if you do, she might just kill you with a glare. With me, as always, my co-host, Jackson Law. J Law, how the hell are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Is this your hoodie episode? We got hoodie mellow. Now we got hoodie tan.
Well, I'm bald and I'm cold. Okay. I mean, what do you want? And of course, joining us as he does every month, we've got the great Josh Taylor in the house. JT, how the hell are you, my friend?
I'm good. I wish I'd have got the hoodie memo. I'd have rocked one of my hoodies out. I got quite a few of them. So
yeah, I mean,
a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just real. It's like cold in my house. It's like it was almost 70 degrees today here in Pittsburgh, but it's just cold in the house today. So it's like I've been rocking the sleeves for like the last couple of weeks once the temperature started dropping. But we got a lot to talk about. It's been a busy day in sports. The NFL has had a lot going on. J Law, there's been some a lot of stuff going on with your Dolphins. Did Tua finally just say, you know what, I've had enough with this, and
you know that finger fracture that he has, he probably just like put a piece of leather in between his teeth and just snapped it and just been like, hey, sorry guys, can't play.
Hey Jacoby, why don't you handle my light work?
Yeah. Like, okay, Josh, I put this in our Slack today. The top 3 offensive linemen with the most pressures given up in the NFL: Liam Eichenberg, Austin Jackson, and Jesse Davis. And I asked the question, what do all 3 of them have in common? They're all starters on Miami's offensive line. They all individually have given up 37 pressures this season so far.
Wow. I guess every time I go to complain about what Dan Moore does or the Steelers offensive line does or doesn't do, I can just say, well, at least they're not the Dolphins.
Brian, you can pretty much complain about anything the Steelers do and say, well, at least they're not the Dolphins. That's a good much wider ranging statement.
And at least Liam Eichenberg and Jesse Davis aren't Austin Jackson, because Austin Jackson's also given up 32 hurries. Eichenberg and Davis have only given up 24 each.
I don't know who taught them how to offensive line, but they doing it wrong.
I don't know how their offensive line coach still has a job. I have absolutely no idea who their offensive line coach is, but how does that man still have a job?
Well, we know it ain't Mike Munchak. Hey!
In fairness, Denver's offensive line ain't looking too great either this season, and the Steelers prove that. So
that's a good point. Definitely going to talk some of the Steelers game last night as well. Talk some Monday Night Football. Jackson, did I reach the over, or did you not count it out yet?
I was not able to count it out.
Okay,
I can do that though while you guys go in your in-depth Steeler talk.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's go into some of the NFL news. Do you want to go into the NFL news first, or do you want to talk Monday Night Football and then go into the news? What do you guys want to do?
We can do Monday Night Football and then go into.
All right. Cool.
The news.
All right. So
that gives me an opportunity to count.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So Last night, the Steelers in the Monday Night Football game took on the monsters of the Midway, the Chicago Bears. Steelers eked by. That game was a lot closer than, in a lot of ways, it should have been. But in watching that game, Josh, a lot of things came to mind. A lot of things came to mind. So I want to go over 3 positives that I saw, and then a couple of the negatives, and then we can go a little bit in depth on some of them. Number 1, positive. Justin Fields is the truth. He showed so much poise. You want to talk about, and I'm going to touch on this a little bit on my negatives. You want to talk about a tale of 2 halves. I said this during my tweets yesterday. That game proves why you play 4 quarters of football. That game was a tale of 4 different teams playing. And Justin Fields looked very much like a rattled rookie on a bad team. He came out of that tunnel in the second half, and he looked like a future star in this league. That's my number 1 positive. My number 2 positive. Najee Harris is just otherworldly good. He proved the point of what I said when I was getting irritated that he got drafted, because I said we needed offensive line help. I was not against Najee Harris. I was against not bolstering up the offensive line. And Najee Harris proved that he's good even without a good offensive line. And that's actually going to take me into my other negative. So Najee Harris is just otherworldly good. And then my final positive, and I guess it might even be a purgatory. It's a negative 2.0 that sort of slinks into a positive, is that this Steelers defense is nothing without one Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. If one or both of them are not on the field, that defense is useless. It's absolutely useless. And then my negatives real quick, and then throw me your comments after. Negatives. Number 1, the Steelers are among the most inconsistent teams with a winning record in the NFL, and this has been a problem for the last couple of years. You don't dominate a first half the way you did and then come out into the second half, which is what they've done all year, and lay eggs. You just can't. That's not playoff football. That's negative number 1. And that goes into how Justin Fields had his coming out party. Number 2, NFL officiating is absolutely out of control. It's ridiculous. It's horrible. I swear, it's almost like we're having another instance where we're in the NBA. They had a couple of years ago where that, I can't remember the coach's name, Tim Donaghy or whatever, made all kinds of horrible calls because he was involved in fixed games.
I didn't know James Harden started reffing NFL games.
Oh, he absolutely did. He absolutely did. That was horrible. And then number 3, Mike Tomlin still has not gotten good at knowing when to challenge and when not to challenge. Those are my positive and negative takes from last night's game. And matter of fact, and I'll even throw one more because the Tomlin thing just sort of popped in my head. This Steelers offensive line regressed so horribly. They made the Bears look like the monsters of the Midway 1985. It looked like Dan Hampton, Mike Singletary, Refrigerator Perry, and Steve McMichael, among others, were out there. It was atrocious. Your thoughts?
We taking these one at a time?
Yeah, sure.
All right, good. We're going to address these because there's a I agree with some of it, and I have to augment some of it. Mm-hmm. You're positive about Justin Fields. I agree with 100%. I mentioned this last night. I'm the type of person, when the team that is the opponent of the team that I'm covering does something good, I'm going to compliment them.
Right.
Because, and not because, oh, you're a terrible fan, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
The second reason why is because you don't think the guys that are down there playing aren't complimenting each other. If another one does something good, that's called sportsmanship. It happens all the time.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
third thing is because it's actually true. Justin Fields, on that touchdown drive, I believe it was in the third, either late third or early fourth quarter, made two of the best throws that you're going to see him make all season long. Absolutely. And one of them came with Cam Hayward breathing down his neck. You mentioned Cam Hayward, Brian. He made a throw with Cam Hayward breathing down his neck, and he got hit right after he let the ball go. And he put that ball into a window that had to be precise, because if it hadn't been, he's either overthrowing it, it's incomplete, which isn't the worst thing in the world. He's either underthrowing it, it's incomplete, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But if it's a tad bit either ahead or behind the receiver, it's probably being intercepted. But he put that throw right where he needed to throw, right where he needed to put it, took a hit for his trouble, but got his team into the red zone, and then made another good throw in the red zone for a touchdown. I can't fault Justin Fields for that, because that's the reason why the Bears drafted him in the first round. That's one thing I'll put to that with you, because I agree with that. Another thing is, you know who else would agree with you about how good Justin Fields is? Mike Tomlin would. Mike Tomlin went to Justin Fields' pro day at Ohio State and was really excited to see Justin Fields play. Mike Tomlin was very complimentary of how good Justin Fields was on his pro day. He went to Columbus and saw him work out at Ohio State. He knows how good Justin Fields is. There's video that backs that up. The third thing I'll put to this is that around the time of the draft, Jerry Dulac from the Post-Gazette is one of the guys on KDKA's pregame coverage of the Steelers. He subtly, but not so subtly, hinted that if he was available with, I believe, the 24th pick, the Steelers would consider drafting Justin Fields. This was something that was not much of a mystery. So if anybody knew how good Justin Fields was, it's the Steelers. It's not a secret.
Right.
Najee Harris, I'm going to continue to tell people this over and over again. You don't draft a guy who was the career-leading rusher at Alabama, who tied with Tim Tebow for the SEC record in total touchdowns scored in a career. You're not drafting that guy if you didn't believe he was the truth. Najee Harris came in to this NFL career of his as already the truth. He proved that at Alabama. He outrushed Mark Ingram. He outrushed Derrick Henry for his career. Think about that.
There you go.
How good is Derrick Henry? How good was Derrick Henry at Alabama? Derrick Henry won a Heisman at Alabama. Najee Harris outrushed that guy for his career.
Right. And an NFL team is essentially going down the tubes because he's out.
Well, not entirely. Tennessee might be okay. Tennessee might be in the best team in the AFC right now if you're going by week to week.
Fair enough.
But the point still remains, Najee Harris outrushed that guy for his career at Alabama. And he was not a 4-year starter at Alabama. I got to throw that part out there too. Najee Harris is pretty good, and he's been pretty good for a long time.
Absolutely.
Your third positive with Cam Hayward and TJ Watt, all I'm going to tell you is, yeah, I've been saying that for a while now. Brian, how many weeks on end have I tweeted out at least one Cam Hayward, y'all, during the Steeler game? I do it every damn week. If you follow me on Twitter, you see enough of it. I do it pretty often. Why? Because Cam Hayward is that good. I've been doing this for a good what? I've been back in this market for 7 years, so it's been a good at least 5 or 6 that I've been tweeting Cam Hayward, y'all, at least once, twice a week during the Steeler game because Cam Hayward's that good. I still remember when some people told me Cam Hayward was overrated, and I'm like, you need to watch more football, or you need to quit because football's not your thing.
Exactly. To say anything not complimentary about Cam Hayward's presence just goes to show that you don't know the sport.
Someone told me he took the Bears, I guess one of the scoring drives the Bears had, he took that drive off. And I'm like, he's the guy that hit Justin Fields before he let the ball go. How did he take the drive off? My response was just, because I wasn't giving it any more. I wasn't getting any more air, any more oxygen. Because it's
to mention he even
football's
said
not your thing if you're not figuring this out. It's not your
thing. Well, not to mention the fact that he was on the DV morning show this morning, and they asked him about his injury, and he said he just sort of rolled his ankle a little bit. It wasn't that big of a deal. Thing is, I've had a high 200s, low 300s frame on my body. A rolled ankle is a big freaking deal when you've got that much power behind you.
When you're a big man, a rolled ankle is a big deal. I agree.
Right. So, he took that play off. Okay, let's see how well you do with that, with pushing an offensive, trying to push past an offensive lineman and chasing a guy that's quicker than grease like that.
Yeah, I was told he took that drive off, and I'm like, he's the guy that hit Justin Fields before he let the ball go. That makes absolutely no sense. I didn't give him much oxygen. Right. But to all three of those things, I'm going to agree with you because they've been pretty true for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
The negatives I will give you, the negatives that you gave me, I have to disagree with one or two of them. You said you were talking about Steelers being inconsistent. Are you talking about the offense, the defense, or both?
The team as a whole, because each had, because last night, the last couple of games, let's look at last night. Let's look at the Seattle game. Let's look at the Denver game. The Cleveland game, I'm almost willing to say it wasn't in the same level because Cleveland isn't. But there have been multiple games where the Steelers look really, really good in the first half. And as soon as they come out of the tunnel for the second half, it's like, oh, we're playing football again? Oh, forgot.
All right, I have my answer to that.
Okay.
There are two words that Mike Tomlin has been using for a long, long, long time, and they ring true. Either one way or another, they're either proving him right, or they're proving him right as to the team actually doing it, or they're proving him right of the fact that the team didn't do it and they needed to. Those two words are complementary football. He uses them all the time. You know why this team has not been consistent from half to half? Because they're not playing complementary football, Brian. That's the reason. They're not playing complementary football. I've been told that, this defense was supposed to be elite, but they disappear in the second half. Really? Because here's the thing that I don't understand. I've been told that this defense is starting to disappear when the truth of the matter is the defense allows about 21 points a game. That's 8th in the league. Mm-hmm. Top 10 scoring defense in the league. 21 points a game. However, this team is also the only team in the league with a winning record that is also in the bottom third in the league in scoring. They only score 20 points a game. That's 23rd in the league. So you want to talk about the inconsistency. That means right now, on average, this team actually gives up 1 point more than they score every week, and somehow they're 5-3. I'm trying to figure out how this is the defense's fault. I was trying to figure out how the second half was the defense's fault. When yes, I will admit, the first time the defense was out on the field, they gave up a touchdown. You know what the offense did the first time out on the field in the second half, Brian?
Nothing.
They went 3 and out.
Right.
They went 3 and out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's the thing. You had an 11-point lead going into halftime, and you had a chance to make that a bigger lead. How many times have I talked about having a 2-possession lead in the ball being the most advantageous thing you can be in football? I've talked about that all season long and longer than that. The offense goes 3 and out, first time out of the tunnel in the second half. Defense gives up a touchdown. Okay, fine. Now, let's keep rolling with that because I got to make sure I pull them up here in my notes because I've been talking about this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Later on in that half, there was another situation that the people blamed on the defense, and I'm sitting there going, how the hell was this the defense's fault? Now, the second time Chicago takes the field, they drive 82 yards. The Steelers hold them to actually, I should say the first drive, the Steelers held the Bears to a field goal after they drove 89 yards. Steelers get the ball back. They score a touchdown. Fine. It's a 20-6 game. It's a 2-touchdown game. Chicago answers with a touchdown. It's 20-13. Steelers get the ball back. Offense gets a field goal. It's a 10-point game again. Defense goes out, gets a 3 and out. The defense did their job with a 10-point lead. They get a 3 and out. Chicago punts. Actually, come to think of it, there's one part I'm missing. After the field goal made it 23-13, Chris Boswell kicks it off. Chicago fumbles it. Chris Boswell falls on it. So the special teams gets the offense the ball back. What did the offense do?
Absolutely nothing.
They win a grand total of a total displacement of 3 yards in 6 plays starting on Chicago's 42-yard line. And they were forced to punt that away.
And I actually tweeted, you cannot do that. That is not playoff. That's not playoff game football.
You're up 10 points. You got a chance to put the game away. You got a chance to go up 17, put it away, really put them at a disadvantage with the rookie quarterback on the road on primetime football. This was right in your wheelhouse. You got the ball in their 42, and you move a total of 3 yards in 6 plays, you got to punt it away. So after having to punt it away, Chicago gets the ball back. What does the defense do? Forces Chicago to a 3-and-out. They did their job again.
Right.
Chicago punts it away. Ray McCloud fumbles.
And it's
returned for a touchdown. So now what was a 10-point game is now a 3-point game. Offense gets the ball back. What do? They get a field goal. It's a 6-point game. So Chicago gets the ball back with a touchdown to take the lead. And that's exactly what they did. I don't know, as I take my wire out of my headphones, I don't know why people continue to blame this defense. When this defense did their job more often than they were expected to, given the circumstances, and the offense did not play complimentary football. The special teams at one point in the game, specifically Ray McCloud, did not play complimentary football and gave Chicago 7 points back. So people keep telling me, this defense. In the 5 games the Steelers have won this season, the Steelers defense has given up exactly 20 points or less in all 5 wins, including this one, because 7 points that the Bears scored are attributed to the special teams. So stop telling me this defense isn't doing their job. Meanwhile, the offense hasn't scored more on average than 20 points a game. This was the first time they actually scored more than 25 in a win. What am I missing?
The one thing that I will say is that when I say that the team in and of itself is inconsistent, it's not fair to lump the defense into that as a whole. There have been certain drives in the second half where it feels like the defense is off kilter, but it could also be, look, I've been in those trenches on the defensive line. If the offense isn't doing its job to give you a chance to rest, there's only but so much you can do. So I get that. If you're giving them the ball back, right, and you're still not cashing in, that's not their fault. And this is something I keep reminding people. They gave up points in the second half. Yeah, but they didn't give up any touchdowns in the first half. Right. What did you want them to do? They gave up 1 touchdown in the second half. One. Why is Ray McCloud even still on the field?
Because they need somebody that can return kicks and punts and no one else can. That's why.
Yeah, and he's not even that why. And he's not even that good at it.
Well, he I guess
I mean, he's better than Ryan Switzer. He's better than what they had last year. But
let me put it to you this way. I need to correct myself. They gave up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That's one thing that happened. Now, after giving up no points, after giving no touchdowns in the first half, they gave up 2 in the fourth quarter. And one of the other ones the Bears got wasn't their fault. So 20 points gets attributed to the defense. To your point about Ray McCloud, yes, it appears that he's not as good as what he is. However, when Ray McCloud is in space with the ball, he's about as good as anybody you're going to find as a punt returner. That's the truth of it. The problem is he can't hold onto the ball that consistently. Therefore, that's what makes him maybe not as good of a punt returner. It's kind of an important thing.
Well, see, I don't even like seeing him on the field in packages.
But what else are you going to do? Who else is available, Brian?
I mean, as far as part of, but he's on the field more often than James Washington. James Washington shows a lot.
But can James Washington do as well on the jet sweep as Ray McCloud can? I'd argue that he can't.
I'm so sick of the bubble screens, and I'm so sick of the jet sweeps. I'm so sick of it.
But Brian, without the jet sweeps, do they run the ball in the second half? My answer would be no.
No, probably not.
Some of those jet sweeps worked yesterday because the running game was not working between the tackles. They had to run jet sweeps. This is once again, Brian, why Matt Canada's offense makes a lot more sense than he gets credit for. And I'll make this case also. With the way the offense is starting to score points the last few weeks, what have they been doing more consistently? Using Matt Canada's run concepts a lot more. Maybe that's why it's working. Maybe I'm crazy. I keep telling people, if this guy could have Pitt's offense score 45 points a game 5 years ago, maybe he knows a little something. Maybe.
I agree. So then what? So now on to my other point about the offensive line. What? Because I mean,
I'm sorry, be a work in progress. They're going to be
Dan Moore. Look, how do you look? How do you look good? How do you almost look all pro against Myles Garrett one week, and then the next week it's like, hey guy, you want to hit Ben? He's right behind me. The same reason why Kendrick Green looks good some weeks and doesn't look good other weeks. They're rookies. They're rookie offensive linemen. There are very few that come into the league as rookie offensive linemen. Not everybody can be Orlando Pace. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. Even in the first half.
At least he's not Liam Eichenberg.
Thank you, Jackson.
That's a good point.
They could
but
be
it's like
worse.
It's one of those instances where in the first half they were clicking on all cylinders. They were getting it done. Second half, that Bears defense is mad physical, undisciplined.
Brian,
but mad physical.
Didn't you say at the top of the show they play 4 quarters for a reason?
Absolutely, they do.
Answer your own question. Because if you were able to do it the entire game, it wouldn't have finished 29-27 in favor of the Steelers. It would have been a much different game. When you got two rookies on your offensive line, they're not going to look good every week. There's going to be great games when they look good. There's going to be games when they look like rookies. Mike Tomlin will be the guy to tell you that. 9 times out of 10, when you ask Mike Tomlin about guys that are rookies on the team, you know his first response usually is, he's a rookie. He's been saying that in training camp since he showed up here 15 years ago.
Very true.
I don't know why people expect things any differently. When you got 4 new faces on your offensive line and 2 of them are rookies, it's to be expected that things aren't going to look great. Trey Turner's a veteran and he don't look great every day. That's a bigger problem to talk about. Kevin Johnson's in his second year. He didn't look good every day. That's something to be talked about.
That was going to be my next point.
Here's another one I keep bringing up. We keep complaining about the offensive line. How much money did you pay back Zach Banner to not play? He's been injured for how long? Now that he's back and healthy, he's still not one of your best 5 guys. What's going on there?
And that was going to be my next point. Why is Zach Banner not being given a hat? Is it because they want to watch these guys mesh, or is he just not good? Was Zach Banner just a flash in the pan?
I've been given every reason why I'm supposed to love Zach Banner, and none of it's come to fruition. So if you got an answer that's better than anything I come up with, I'm all ears. Because I've been told that I'm supposed to be so in love with Zach Banner. Zach Banner's supposed to be this guy that they're supposed to count on and that every fan should love because, you got to love Zach Banner. Do I? Because I'd rather love guys that play. Because I'm getting to the point where I kind of love Chooks because apparently Chooks can start every day when Zach Banner can. So maybe I should just love Chooks because apparently he's starting to earn my respect. Because apparently Chooks is available to play and apparently can get a hat over Zach Banner every week. So maybe Chooks is the guy worth loving, and sometimes you got to love the one you're with. So maybe that's what I'll do. But when we're talking about the offensive line, I've heard criticism about Adrian Clem. I've heard criticism about Dan Moore and Kendrick Green. And Kendrick Green, for the record, you think Dan Moore had a rough night? Go back and look at Kendrick Green's night.
Kendrick Green's night was terrible.
He got smacked around too. But I'll say this once again. Your line from left tackle to left guard to center in order. Rookie, second year guy, rookie. That's what it is. You're going to have growing pains. But then there's days when they look great, i.e. against Cleveland, i.e. against Denver, and somewhat against Seattle. There's days when they're going to look good, and then there's days when they're going to look bad. But I'll also say this. For as bad as they looked in spots, they still did pretty well okay as far as being productive in the run game and helping Ben get at least enough time in the pass game. This is something that we haven't talked about. They've gone 4 weeks. Ben hasn't had a pick in 4 weeks.
It's a good point.
This is a guy that led the league in picks 2 years ago.
Very
was
true.
It 2 years ago or the year before he got injured?
I think it was the year before he got injured.
The year before he got injured, led the league in picks. He's done it twice in his career, and both times he's done it, the team didn't make the playoffs. So you told me if there's a correlation. 4 weeks in a row, no picks for Ben. Best balance this offense has seen, not only in 4 games, Brian, probably in 4 seasons. The best balance this offense has seen. And that's despite this offensive line that people seem to have so many grievances about. So
I'm one of them. I'm not going to lie. I'm one of them.
I mean, is it perfect? No, nothing about this team is perfect. But they've won 4 games in a row. And I'll say the same things. The defense has allowed less than 20 points. The offense has been incredibly balanced. And Cam Hayward and TJ Watt are playing their collective hind parts off. What else do you want from this team?
I'd like to see Najee. I would like to not be terrified every time I see Najee start taking the ball because he's got people in the backfield with him like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? It looks like me on the intramural. It looks like me on the intramurals football squad just charging past people.
At the same time, Najee's still producing. So
yes, he is.
In the last 4 weeks, he's got what? Over 500 total yards and 4 touchdowns.
Over 5. Yes, he does.
And he was second. He was second in the league in touches coming into this game. So he's been durable and he's been productive.
He leads all rookies. My only worry is that everyone is durable, and then they get that one injury, and especially for the running back position.
Well, until it happens, until it happens, you got to take it for what it is. And I'm going to go back to this again. Career leader in rushing yards at the University of Alabama. Clearly, he did something right. He's talked about his workout routine and what he does to stay in shape. You know what Najee Harris does that he thinks everybody should do, Brian? And you love this answer. Najee Harris does yoga.
I was getting ready to say he needs to start doing. He needs to start doing some DDP yoga with me.
He already
I need to get him as a client to do some DDP yoga.
He already does. He highly encourages it. I talked about it 2 weeks ago. I think it was before they played Seattle, before they played Cleveland. I talked about it. He good. People should do yoga. He's a very big proponent of it.
Absolutely,
so,
it absolutely
Najee
is.
Takes care of himself. If I'm looking for a reason to be worried about this offense, let's just say Najee Harris would not be on my list. Your concerns about the offensive line are valid, and I will say that they're to be expected given the circumstances. But given the circumstances, also what they've done in the last 4 games, I can't complain about it. Now, the total yards numbers were a little bit down against Chicago. But what did they do in the second half? I just broke down those first 3 drives that they had. Outside the touchdown drive, what else did they do? A whole lot of nothing. And I can't blame the defense for it.
I'll say real quick because we have to get ready and go for a break. The officiating, and I want to bring this up at the top of the next segment because that officiating was horrible. But I have to say, your boy Cassius March, man, he has the best sack celebration in football. Dude, not a lot of people can throw. Take it from a guy who holds the rank of Shodan. Not a lot of people can throw a roundhouse kick like that consistently.
He's got the best Inseguri in the game.
Yes, he does. I'll tell you what. Right now, you know who he reminds me of throwing that Inseguri. He looks like a little bit less athletic version of Owen Hart throwing an Inseguri out there on the field.
I don't disagree. I'll say this much as far as the officiating. So I know you got to get to a break.
Yeah,
I hear a lot about officiating being terrible on the pro level. I hear about it on the college level, and this is the same thing I'm going to keep coming back to. There's so much that happens now in football games. This game has gotten so much more. I hate to say this, it's going to sound weird, but it's gotten more intellectual. There are more mental parts to this game. There's more that needs to be, interpreted. It needs to be processed than what you're seeing. Not to mention the fact it's also gotten faster. Offensives have gotten more complicated. They've gotten more intricate because they want defenses to sit there and start thinking. You hear coaches talk about playing fast. You hear players talk about playing fast, especially on the college level. Playing fast is like a mantra down there. Why? Because they're trying to find ways to slow down the other team. Because this game is so speed-oriented now. Not only is it speed-oriented, but players have also gotten faster, and they've gotten stronger, and they've gotten bigger. And force still equals mass times acceleration last I checked. I had Miss Simpson junior year at Shinley, Bryan. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So this is something that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And everything else gets affected because of it. You're going to see offense get affected because of it. You're going to see point totals and all kinds of other things affected because of it. But the officiating is the other side of it. That's the other side of that coin that we don't always look at. The officiating is affected by it too. Because I wholeheartedly believe that officials cannot pick up everything with the naked eye. I don't think it's possible.
Not at all.
The same way about MLB umpires too. I feel like MLB umpires have a really hard job because you look at the average MLB roster and probably 8 out of 12 guys in a pitching staff can probably throw an average fastball of 95 miles an hour or higher. And we're trying to figure out how these guys are throwing strikes and if there's movement and these guys are throwing it fast. And umpires are supposed to just see that in a split second and figure it out. It's virtually impossible. Football, I feel the same way. There's so much stuff that officials have to keep up with now. I think it's impossible to see everything with the naked eye. I just don't think it's possible. So when people tell me officiating is inconsistent, I say officiating is probably a zero-sum game. I feel like it's a losing proposition sometimes because there's so much that I don't think everybody can keep up with. The one thing I've talked about, put more of them on the field because so many of these guys have responsibilities and now they become larger when there's more stuff to pay attention to. Put an extra official on the field. I guarantee you'll probably get more picked up because you have more eyes trying to pay attention to less things happening. But that's just my opinion.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to touch on this a little bit more in this next segment. We're going to talk some more of the news now in the NFL. This is a Tanndemonium Sports Show, part of the Vendetta Sports Media podcast and network, broadcasting live on Twitch TV every Tuesday evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with our special guest, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Josh Taylor. I'm Bryan. It's Jackson Law. We'll be right back. The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags. Or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the U.S., go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the UK, go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers. All right, we're back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show with an empty chair that Jackson Law used to be. All right, so John, let's go into the NFL news here for a second, if we may. So OBJ is officially on waivers. Now, I love the fact that it seems like every time the Steelers beat the Browns, it causes some sort of issue. Coaches get fired, starters get benched, and now OBJ has been cut. But
sorry, baby emergency.
That's okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. Been there. We've all been there. But it seems like this has been a long time in the making, I think.
Definitely.
OBJ was like a mythical figure when he was traded from the New York Giants. And I know me personally, I was like, oh, crap. The Browns got OBJ? This is going to be dangerous. And they got Jarvis Landry. This is going to be same old Browns. I mean, so what are your thoughts on this? Because he's actually been saying he only wants to go to a contender. And he's really putting it out there. Look, this is what I want. This is what I want. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, there's one thing I'm going to bring people back to. When the Browns first got Odell Beckham Jr., and you had him paired up with Jarvis Landry, and they're paired up together again. Remember, these guys played together at LSU. Mm-hmm. These guys were the same offense in LSU with, I believe, Jeremy Hill in backfield. But here's the weird part. You know who the quarterback was? Zach Mettenberger. Zach Mettenberger was able to make OBJ and Jarvis Landry work better than Baker Mayfield did. Just swirl that around and see what you come up with. Just
let that marinate.
Let that marinate. Now,
I'm going to ask you to let that marinate for a minute.
I say all that to say this. The data proves it. The numbers prove it. The tape proves it. Odell Beckham Jr. in this offense with Baker Mayfield as the quarterback just did not work. I don't think that the assessment of that, depending on who it came from, is false. He just did not fit what that offense was trying to do. They tried to make it work for as long as they possibly could. There are conflicting opinions about Odell's performance against the Steelers. Some will tell you that the throw that Baker threw that Odell didn't go up and get, they'll say it was Odell making a business decision. And it's kind of hard to argue with that. Then there's some people that are telling you that's a ball that Baker Mayfield shouldn't have put there. Both of those things are true. You got a quarterback who couldn't put the ball to him accurately and a guy who wasn't to do what it took to go get an errantly thrown pass. Both of those things can be true. In this particular
not everyone needs to be Rod Tidwell.
Not everybody needs to be Rod Tidwell, and everybody ain't got to be Atlanta Brave, to quote Boyz II Men album.
I love
it. But here's the one thing that we have to understand here. It is possible for Odell Beckham Jr. to be a good receiver and him still not fit with the Browns offense. These things can both be true. There have been times when teams have parted ways and it's been good for both sides. Mm-hmm. It just worked out well for both sides. I think this is something that eventually was going to happen. If it didn't happen during the season, it was going to happen at the end of the season. They were going to part ways because him being there just does not work. Sometimes dudes just don't click. Sometimes we're able to overcome it in the case of the Eagles and T.O. and Donovan McNabb, because remember, that team went to a Super Bowl and T.O. had probably one of the best games of his life in that Super Bowl with Donovan
with
McNabb.
A busted leg.
Coming off a broken leg. There's that too. So we've seen it happen in spite of it. But then again, there's times we've seen it fall apart. Remember what Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown used to look like?
Yeah.
And remember what they looked like at the end?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take a lot of time for that to unravel. We've seen it happen both ways. So when it comes down to that and things aren't working anymore, you go your separate ways, and hopefully it's beneficial for both. I can make the case in terms of on-the-field achievement. It's probably worked out better for Antonio Brown, but I can't say that too loud around these parts because they might put me in jail. So,
yeah.
But as far as the Browns are concerned,
we don't take too kindly to Antonio Brown around these parts.
The man got one in the trophy case, and if they played their cards right, he might have one more. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's possible.
But in terms of the Browns, I don't feel like I'm one of those people that feels like this was something that was bound to happen. And I think that we turned it into a Baker Mayfield versus OBJ thing, because that's what we like to do. We like to make everything two-sided. We like to make everything binary. It's got to be 0 or it's got to be a 1. And I'm the case, it's just like, why don't you just let him go and make both of them happy?
Yeah.
Right.
So if
Odell's dad too really hounded.
Odell's dad was really being like, remember when everyone was all about Cam Newton's dad and all the stuff that he was talking, and everyone gets, well, neither one of those two men are on the level of LeVar Ball.
Neither
are even close.
No.
But OBJ's dad was like,
although I'd say LeVar Ball should be inducted into the Richard Williams Hall of Fame. Well, that's a different conversation for a different time. I feel like Odell wouldn't have been able to really get much of the benefit of the doubt because of his dad going to bat for him, and he probably shouldn't have been. LeBron going to bat for OBJ, and he probably shouldn't have been. If I'm Odell Beckham and I'm putting the tweet out about what's going on, I would have just put "Stop helping" in capital letters. Stop helping me. You're not helping me. Just stop trying to help. I'm okay. Because here's the crazy part. If Odell lands with the Saints, which is a team I've heard, if he lands with the Seahawks, which is a team I've heard, apparently he prefers the Packers, which pick your poison, but you know what I mean. Depending on where he shows up, he may be better off than where he was with the Browns for a couple of different reasons. I can see him going to a team that has a more stable quarterback situation, that needs a guy that can make the kind of plays that he can make, that can make plays with him down the field, which is what they need him to do. Seattle's a team that comes to mind. Green Bay is a team that comes to mind as far as guys they need to make plays down the field. It makes perfect sense to me because I'm the type of guy that thinks while Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams makes absolute perfect sense, OBJ as another option makes way more sense for that team and that offense. It makes
And that's a good point. Now, Jackson, let me ask you this. Now, Josh brings up a couple of teams that are, in the running. I'm gonna throw a dark horse to you. I'm gonna throw a dark horse to you that needs someone like him. That a team that has a young quarterback that needs someone that's going to get some work downfield. Little franchise that's also over here on the East Coast, but it's in one of the Carolinas. You think that if Odell Beckham Jr. went out to the Panthers, do you think that would help with what's going on there? Or is Sam Darnold really what we saw in New York? Because
first off, Sam's let me down, man. I defended him so hard. We've
defended him so hard.
Look good for 4 weeks, and then it's just I don't know what happened. Honestly, don't know what happened. Now Carson Wentz, him and Wentz have flipped. Wentz wasn't that great to start the season, but Wentz has figured it out, and the Colts are looking pretty good. I don't know. They may have dug themselves too deep of a hole to start the season, which they did have a really rough schedule to start the season. So
they got screwed by officiating against Baltimore. They should have won that game.
Yeah,
I can make the case the Ravens should be a 500 team, but we're not going to get into
that. The Ravens are what, like a fumble? They're like 2 fumbles.
They're 2 fumbles,
an ungodly field goal from 65 yards away from being a 500 team.
And a field goal that should not have happened because of a phantom delay of game call that was never made.
Exactly.
There you go. I was just getting ready to say.
So, but I don't know if Carolina makes too much sense because, Odell wants to go to a contender. I think probably Green Bay makes the most sense. I think Seattle obviously is a front runner. Pete Carroll's even wink, wink, nudge, nudge, something may be happening here. I don't know if the tone for what him and even his dad are saying, where it's just he wants more targets, then he's competing with 2 really good receivers in Lockett and Metcalf for targets.
I love Tyler Lockett, man. I agree with you. And it pains me to say it that Green Bay might be the thing that makes the most sense. And I know people don't want to talk about Green Bay right now, considering who's at quarterback and how that guy's under fire. But Green Bay might make the most sense. And here's what's dangerous. You put him in an offense in Green Bay where you got two guys that you can throw the ball to, and one of them is as reliable as Devontae Adams. And I've been saying this for years. He might be the best receiver no one talks about most consistently.
Yeah.
You got two guys to throw to, and then you got a couple of good running backs to run the ball. When's the last time Green Bay had a reliable run offense? When did that become?
It's been a long time.
Now they can give the ball to A.J. Dillon. He can just run over Arizona the way he did 2 weeks ago. That's a thing now. If you do that with Green Bay,
team was appreciative of that game
with a very well rebuilt offensive line through the draft the past couple years. Does Green Bay's offense have any flaws if you add OBJ?
No,
I'd argue they don't.
Really.
It's tough.
And I'll tell you the truth. Well, Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be coming back this week, but let's just say if something happens where Aaron Rodgers is going to be out for a while, wouldn't it be nice for young Mr. Love to have two amazing targets to go to?
Well, assuming that they give him some kind of trust with the offense, because apparently they didn't in this most recent game. They didn't have a lot of trust.
Did you guys see where the Chiefs put Love's mom and his family? They put him in the nosebleeds.
Yes, like the literally last row, that's the top of the stadium.
I felt so bad for them.
That was rough. And being in a place like Arrowhead,
yeah,
I don't know. That there's kind of a benevolence to that, because if you're in Arrowhead, that place is super loud. So maybe from the last row of Arrowhead, you maybe don't walk out with a headache. But yeah.
But I mean, how do you put dude's mama all the way up in the nosebleeds?
You put moms in the last row.
I mean, when they lean back, I mean, that's it. That's the back and the top of the stadium. That's where they were sitting at.
You know what? I was saying a little bit last night during the game, talking about young quarterbacks' moms. I was like, yo, man, Mama Fields is going to be having some words with the Steelers defense for what they doing to her baby. Yo, Mama Love going to have some words for the Green Bay Packers ownership.
For the Chiefs ownership, and she should, man.
Absolutely. They
shoved her in the corner, man. That was
yeah, his mom's name ain't Baby because they put her ass in the corner.
Oh, man. I kind of felt bad for them, but honestly, I don't know who I felt worse for, them or Jordan Love, because I felt like they didn't really give Jordan Love a lot of leeway. I mean, granted, the situation surrounding it's kind of screwy, so they only had a little bit of time to try to make a game plan, visible that possibly could have worked. I was surprised that there wasn't more just simply around running the football and just going to play action off of it. I thought you probably could have incorporated a game plan that was very similar to what they did against Arizona and probably have more success with it with Jordan Love. I thought that would have made more sense to me. I was surprised it didn't look that similar. Now, granted, I got to look at the injury situation. It might not have had the same personnel exactly available on the field. Maybe that was a factor. But the game plan they used against Arizona on the road, and Arizona might be the best team in the NFL. As far as rosters, they would be the most complete. Right. And it worked against that team, and they wouldn't beat them on the road. Now, granted, it worked because Aaron Rodgers was at quarterback. Maybe that's the difference. But the ability to run and operate play action off of it, it's as old as the game itself. And I thought they could have probably done more with that, and they just failed to do it.
So looks like Russell Wilson is cleared for a full return. Jackson Law, if you're a Seattle fan, you've got to be beyond pumped about this, because now you got your franchise back. And Geno Smith hasn't done too bad of a job keeping this team relatively relevant. I mean, he's done what you want your backup to do, be serviceable enough to keep your team in it, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely kept them in some close games where probably if Wilson is the QB, you probably get a couple of those wins. They sit at 5-3 right now. Playoffs, I think, kind of unlikely unless they just go on an ungodly run. But I'll tell you what, my fantasy team's happy that he's back. I will say this though, I've had Matthew Stafford to cover me, so I've been good on the quarterback since, but I can run out 2 QBs, and I would normally run out Wilson and Stafford.
We need to get a T-shirt for the show that says, "Well, my fantasy team is happy." that is like the Jackson Law. That is the Jackson Law thing right there.
Hey. I got 2 that are happy right now, so I can't say much. I got 2 on 8-game winning streaks, man. I'm doing okay. To Jackson's point, I would love the thought of Seattle being able to make a run and possibly being a playoff team. If they were in any other division, I'd probably feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
You are staring up at both the Rams and the Cardinals, and you're 3-5. It's like, man, the margin of error has just shrank. And it's,
if you're sitting at you said they're 5-3, Jackson.
Or they're 3-5.
3-5.
Oh,
you're
3-5. You've got to run the. I think you got to run the table.
And here's the problem.
Pretty much.
Here's the problem. Your first 2 games out of the chute, out of the bye week, getting Russell Wilson back, are at Green Bay and at home against Arizona. That's a hard hill to climb. I'm happy for Seattle fans to get the quarterback back, but I'm thinking him getting hurt at the most inopportune time is going to be the story of this season, because even if he comes back, you at Green Bay, home against Arizona, okay, at Washington, home against San Francisco, at Houston, games that you probably are expected to win with Russell Wilson. But then you're at the Rams, and you got the Bears, home against the Bears and home against the Lions. You're not that worried about it. But the last 4 weeks of the season, you got Bears and Lions sandwiched between on the road at the Rams and on the road at the Cardinals, the 2 teams you're trying to catch. So even if things went on the good end of the spectrum, it's still just too large of a hill to climb.
I agree. So, guys, the Raiders have been pretty busy this week as well. They not only picked up DeSean Jackson, but they also cut their former first-round pick. They've just been having a bad run of their first-round picks in that draft class, because now Henry Ruggs is probably not going to be getting out again. I'm here. Every time I hear his name, I hear the Oz theme song playing, and I'm picturing him with Adebisi's hat.
Oh.
And now Damon Arnett. Yeah, I went back. And now you got Damon Arnett, who's acting a fool, brandishing guns and threatening to kill people. And he's facing lawsuits like mad on him.
I cannot wait for when it's like August of 2032, the football season is coming up, and we get the HBO miniseries that is the Gruden era, Mayock era of the Raiders. The drama for moving to Vegas, that's season 1. You get your see, like Courtney says, a 30 for 30. I think you got to go deeper. You've got to get an HBO series.
Yeah, get a mini series out of it, because there's
get drama out of this. This deserves a full-fledged drama, okay? Because this is entertainment just waiting to slap the screen. There's just got to be a writer out there that can just put A and B together. The story's written for them. Okay. That's why, in my personal opinion, history is like one of the easiest forms of media to make movies and films out of, because you have the overarching story, you have the beginning, the middle, the end, and how things happen. You just got to get a little bit of dialogue to get you from A to B, and boom, you're done.
It's crazy when you look at that entire 2020 draft class and what they're doing right now, and most of them are doing nothing for different reasons, and it's not good. And I heard probably one of the most profound things I've heard, and I had to be reminded of this. They brought Mike Mayock in because he was pretty much he was the other side of the Gruden coin. You know, Gruden was going to coach, and Mayock would handle the personnel, and they were going to be hand in glove. And that is a hand that lost its glove a long time ago. It's been cold and bare for a while.
I'm telling you. I'm talking.
It might be time to wipe the slate clean for the Raiders.
I'm talking Emmys. I'm talking like being remembered, critically acclaimed. Like it's like for best television shows ever. You're talking The Wire. You're talking Breaking Bad. You're talking, and then this is up there. This is up there with it as an all-timer. Sopranos. It's up there with it too.
It's like a reboot of Playmakers. If you guys remember that show,
I remember Playmakers.
For the record, Playmakers was freaking prophetic by comparison. Now they shut. I have a theory. My roommate they used to live with at the time when Playmakers was actually still airing on ESPN. We had a theory that they shut Playmakers down because the NFL thought it was too real.
I've heard that too. I think
the NFL was like, look, this is too real. We can't have you do this anymore. And it wouldn't shock me, man.
I mean, just think about it. You know, you could stretch this out multiple seasons. You don't even need a mini series. You could get a couple seasons out of this.
Reboot playmakers and make it about the Raiders. You're done.
Exactly.
Jackson will write it. We got this.
You know what? I'll tell you.
We'll call him. We'll make it happen.
If anything, you might as well just make
name the time, name the place.
Show.
I'm on a flight. We're meeting somewhere. We're going out to LA. We're meeting with some studio execs, and we're making this thing happen. We're making our pitch.
Hey, like you know what? Let's make it an FX. Make it an FX.
Oh, FXX, an FXX show.
American Football Story. The Las Vegas Raiders. Done. Just write the check.
This is your theme song. That's your theme song right there. When they're talking about that.
Write the checks now. We're good.
Because I'm sorry, this is what I hear every time I hear Henry Ruggs' name. It's just like I'm gonna start binging Oz again on Amazon Prime because of Henry Ruggs. So I think that they should send him a fruit basket while he's locked up.
Jackson, our kids are good. They're straight.
Yeah,
we're setting them up for life when these checks.
Agree.
This is done, baby.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're gonna. All right, so we're gonna take another break. Then we're gonna come up with our Week 10 picks like we do every week. And then we're gonna go into some NBA. Colin Sexton got some bad news this week. Darren Williams going into another arena of sport. Maybe he might go up against one of those Paul brothers. I hope someone beats the crap out of them. And apparently the Jokic Morris feud is starting to go strong. I watched this video and yo, Morris thought he was gangsterlicious enough. Jokic said, hey, we the gangsters where we're from. So we don't play that game. We're back. We'll be right back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, a part of the Vendetta Sports Media podcasting network, broadcasting live every week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday on Twitch TV. You can listen to our playback wherever you get your podcast. And of course, we're joined monthly by the great Josh Taylor, budding Pittsburgh sports media royalty right here, y'all. Enjoy him while we get him before he gets too big. We'll be back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, part of the Vendetta Sports Media podcast and network. We'll be back with our final segment. The following is brought to you in partnership by Symbol. Symbol is a new sports marketplace where you can trade shares of professional teams like stocks. You love sports. You interested in fantasy sports without the weekly annoyance of fantasy league upkeep? Then Symbol's the app for you. With Symbol, fantasy sports is going to a whole other level. How it works is simple. You buy Symbol shares for your favorite sim teams on the app. When your sim team wins, you get automatic cash deposits, and you don't lose any money when they lose. That's it. So if you follow trends across football, basketball, and baseball, and you think your team is a sleeper, simply invest in your favorite sim teams on Symbol and watch your virtual portfolio prove you right or wrong. And if you want to get in on the action right away, Vendetta Sports Media's got you covered. Go to symbol.app/Vendetta and use our exclusive promo code Vendetta, and you'll get a $10 bonus when making your first deposit. Symbol, taking fantasy sports to a whole other level.
Okay, but before we go any further, Schefter just dropped this tweet right now. And And it's not a trade or anything. This is what it says. Minnesota Vikings running back Dalvin Cook is the victim of domestic abuse and extortion. There is pending litigation, according to his agent, Zach Hiller.
Oh, wow.
That is it. That is all that has been said.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know what that means for him this week. But that's something significant that I'm sure we'll find out. It was just tweeted 15 minutes ago.
Wow, he's okay.
I was looking.
Yeah,
checking
he's all right
during the ad. Yeah,
and of course somebody, and I'm going to call this person out, Zach Wong at Zach P Wong on Twitter.
I saw that.
Is he starting this week?
Ooh.
Zach,
Yeah.
you're an asshole. And your parents should slap you really hard. And then, of course, someone goes, seems like the wrong time to be wondering. And he goes, LOL, it was a joke. But it's not funny. And then, of course, someone answered back, at Too Cool Cole, quote, you wong for this.
Okay, that was a funny joke.
That was
actually
a
a funny
one.
joke. That was actually
That was
No,
a good one.
there's like some jokes that you don't want to laugh at.
There's some you just don't make.
Yeah.
Some you just don't make. Yeah. Too soon.
So, oh man.
Literally 15 minutes. Give it some time, people.
Yeah, at least wait
wait
an hour or two, man. Come on. Anyway, let's go into this upcoming week. This is going to be week 10 of the NFL season.
It is.
All right, so guys, you guys know how we do this. Everyone who doesn't know, I'm going to announce the names. We're going to do our picks. We're going to keep it short, sweet, to the point. We're going to say, yay or nay, and one quick sentence as to why. All right?
Mm-hmm.
This Thursday, Veterans Day, Ravens, Dolphins. Doesn't even matter. I'm pretty sure we're on a consensus that the Ravens are going to be 7-2, right?
Yes.
I think Lamar has more rushing yards by himself than the entire Dolphins team combined.
Ooh. Yep. If you're going to the Dolphins game, you might want to just show up to say you got there, go ahead and tailgate, and then leave at kickoff.
You might just want to not go.
Well, no, man. you still got to tailgate, man. Just because your team's going to
Miami is a good time. Tailgate
exactly.
I'm sure tailgate.
Especially,
just don't walk into the game and then don't look at the scores. Just go home.
In fairness, the best tailgating in Miami is the Miami Florida State game. Jackson.
I can imagine.
I'm sure.
That's the best tailgating in Miami.
All right. So now we're on the 1:00 games on Sunday. Bills, Jets. Guys, I'm conflicted. After that showing from the Bills against the Jaguars, I don't know. I mean, I'm still going to pick the Bills, but the Jets might eke this one out. Jackson?
I don't think the Jets win, but because the Bills are weird. The Bills have put some stinkers so far this year.
Yeah.
And they're not as consistent as I would like them to in that sense. But you could just chalk this past week up to bad execution of the game plan or excellent execution on the game plan for Jacksonville. It's funny, they've won 2 games ever since the Urban Meyer groping incident at the bar. So, but I mean, hey, maybe this could be a good, if you pick the Jets to cover against the spread, that could be a possibility here.
Okay. All right, Josh.
Bills will get right. They'll get right in this one. And after each of their losses this season, at least the previous 2, they won the game immediately after. So They'll get right. They'll figure it out. They'll beat the Jets. It's still the Jets on the road, even though the Jets have beaten some teams.
Well, the Jets are.
I'm like, the Jets beat that team? Wait, the Jets beat that team? But the Bills will get right and win this one.
And I will say, and I have to throw the wordplay out there. It's not every day that a guy gets sacked by a guy that he shares a name with. That's all I'm saying.
That's MCU. Awesome. That's some MCU timeline type stuff.
It really is.
Josh Allen dominated.
I really wanted to put a tweet out that says Josh Allen right now. If you think I'm evil, wait till you meet my variants. And it just seemed like the perfect time to drop that line. And I forgot to do it by the end of the night. I'm like, it's too late.
Too late now. The mode is past.
The moment is past. I blew it.
All right. 6-2 Buccaneers go in to play the nameless ones. 6-2 versus 2-6. Pretty sure Tom Brady's gonna have some fun with this defense, but Chase Young might get a shot in. But at the end of the day, I got the Buccaneers winning this one. Josh?
Bucks defense might show you more than the Bucks offense in this game, because what's Washington going to do offensively? And the Bucks defense, they may not be the best total unit, but they're pretty sound. They're pretty deep. I think they'll get everything done, and they've shown as well as anybody they can get after you with 3 or 4 guys, and they can jump everybody else back and make it difficult. So I say the Bucks.
All right, Jackson.
Bucks, easy. They're looking so good right now. It's kind of insane.
All right. 4-4 Falcons go into the house that Jerry Jones built to play the 6-2 Cowboys. Cowboys laid another egg, but I think Dak and the fellas get right this time around, and I got the Cowboys winning this one.
I have the same exact theory about the Cowboys that I do about the Bills. They'll get right. Cowboys have too much talent. Too much talent to lay 2 eggs in a row. So I'll say Cowboys too.
Jackson.
Yeah, I'm going Cowboys. It's home game, 4-4 Falcons. They've been extremely hit or miss. They have a kicker that's won them 3 games. So I like my chances with the Cowboys.
All right, now we finally have a game that looks like it can be a balance. 5-3 Saints versus the 7-2 Titans. Now the Titans just signed Adrian Peterson to take over for Derrick Henry, whose foot fell off. Hopefully we get the super glue and the steel rods and pins, and we can get it to stay on for at some point. This is going to be a tough one to call. This is going to be one of the Titans. This is going to be a big test for the Titans. I don't know. I think I got to go with the Saints on this one, to be honest. I mean, that's just that's where my head is looking right about now. Jackson, what do you got?
I mean, do you trust Trevor Siemian that much?
No, not really. I'm thinking that this is going to be more. I'm thinking it's going to be more of the defense. I think it's going to be more of a defensive struggle, to be honest.
I mean, I think it is too, but I still think that's kind of what it boils down to is like Trevor Siemian versus Ryan Tannehill. The marquee matchup of Sunday.
Yeah, this is the game that when they marked it on the calendar, they said this is the matchup we need. This league is in such trouble.
And I mean, I wasn't too high on the Titans coming into the season, but they've had some good wins the past few weeks. The Bills win was really good. I'm going to start saying now that beating the Chiefs probably is not as good of a win, as it has been the past couple of years, just because of that defense. Eked one out against the Colts and then had a pretty dominant win against the Rams in LA. And I just think they're hot right now. And I think they stay hot over the Saints. I think it's close, but I think they stay hot this game.
All right, fair enough. Josh?
What's the old adage? Styles make fights. This is one that plays into the Saints' hands because Titans don't have Derrick Henry. Saints have the top rushing defense in the league. On the other side of it, Saints have Alvin Kamara. And even if you don't have your number one quarterback, Alvin Kamara can get you some yardage on his own. He's got 840 total yards. I think, 6 or 7 touchdowns on the season from scrimmage.
Yeah.
That might be the difference in this one. I'm actually liking the Saints. And here's another thing. Here's another thing. Especially here's what I would really feel this way. If this game was being played in New Orleans, which I believe is being played in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken.
It's in Nashville, yeah.
It's in Nashville. If this game was in New Orleans, I'd say Saints straight up and wouldn't think twice about it. But yeah. I still think the Saints can win this one, so I'll go with New Orleans.
All right. Jags, Colts. I think Carson Wentz puts a beating on them. That's what you're supposed to do. I mean, they're 4-5 right now, but I mean that loss to the Titans, that I'm not ready to give up on these Colts yet. I'm just not. I'm not ready to give up on them yet. So I'm going to have the Colts winning this one hands down. What you got, Josh?
The Colts are an enigma to me because here's what's crazy about the Colts. They have a top 10 scoring offense. They're the 8th best scoring offense in the league. And they're number 2 in takeaway differential. They're plus 10 in takeaways. They've got a pretty good run defense too. They're so strange to me. It doesn't shock me that they're up and down because it seems like there's like some of the numbers are kind of conflicting. But I don't think they should have a problem with Jacksonville. They should win this game quite easily. If for no other reason, they should be able to score quite a few points, take the ball off them when they need to, and probably score some more. They'll probably go above their season average in this one. So give me Indianapolis.
All right. What do you got, J-Law?
Indy at home against the Jags. Wentz is, like I said earlier in the show, has been playing phenomenal football after the first 4 or 5 weeks. I think the Colts are better than what their record shows. They've had a couple bad losses, but again, they got really screwed to start the year. They pretty much played the Rams and the Saints. I don't think it was back-to-back, but it was like 2 of their first 3 games. They started 0-3. Wentz coming off injury in a new system. There was just so many things against them to start off the season, but I think they get to 500 here, and they aren't dead in the water just yet. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close, but I think this Jags game kind of solidifies them in their position where they might have a chance to get to the playoffs.
They should be 5-4.
Yeah.
They should be a 5-4 team. They should have beaten Baltimore. That 4 lateral play was terrible. They ended up like almost 4 possessions and put that game away. It should have been.
I agree. All right. 0-8 Lions versus the 5-3 Steelers. Jackson, I'm going to let you go first on this. I'm going to save mine to the end. So,
I mean, Steelers, the Lions are the Lions.
All right.
Dan Campbell, doesn't matter how much cocaine he snorts. He just can't seem to push his guys through.
Josh.
Only thing I'm worried about in this game for the Steelers is the well-being of their kneecaps. Other than that, they should roll over pretty easily. So, yeah. Somebody was like, should we really be looking past the Bears and the Lions? I'm like, you realize the Lions haven't won yet, right?
And here's my thing,
that's going to lose to the Lions.
You know what? I think that if
okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my thing, though. Well, number one, do the Lions play Miami this year or no?
I don't think they do. Thank God. Thank God for avoiding that embarrassment. I've already had 2.
Wow, he's so embarrassed he froze.
Much embarrassment.
Fair enough. Honestly, I think
here no more.
Honestly, though, I think if the Lions do pull out a win this year, this might be the one that does it. The Steelers offense has to get some consistency going. They can't. You can't just keep putting it on the defense to win these games for you, especially when your secondary in a lot of ways is just getting torched the way they are. I mean, Arthur Millette got beat like he stole something more often than not last. Now, granted, that's not his game, but still, the Steelers should win this one hands down. They should win this one heartily. However, it's either going to be a close game like Monday was, or it wouldn't totally shock me if the Lions eke this one out.
If there was a guy that was going to have the big impact game for the Lions, if we're talking about the Lions winning this game, who's going to be the guy that has the big impact game that the Steelers won't see coming?
TJ Hawkinson.
Is that it? Their tight end's going to be the guy that busts the game in half?
Well, I think it's gonna have to be Jared. I think Jared Goff is gonna have to really see the field. Now, granted, is it gonna be easy for him to see the field with Cam and TJ in his face? Probably not.
I say no.
I don't think so. I just feel like if your offense continues to not be able to play complementary football with your defense, as great as those guys are, you're not going to get to be that good if you're gassed because your offense isn't sustaining drives. Now, the fan in me says there's no way that the Lions win this game. But just from what I saw last night and what I've seen in subsequent weeks with the Cleveland game as the exception, as we've agreed to, is an exception to the rule. I don't know if the offense not playing complementary ball, I think that's going to be the death knell in this game. I really do. Because these Lions play tough. Yeah, they're 0-8, but this is the best damn 0-8 team I've ever heard of.
They just lost to Philadelphia 44-6.
Yeah, I know.
They're
I know.
29th in the league in scoring. They're 26th in yards. If you want to talk about an offense that makes the Steelers offense look good, it's probably the Lions. Like, and then their defense, they're 25th ranked defense in the league. This is going to be one of those times where the Steelers just kind of they brush their teeth, they comb their hair, and they look nice and have an easy day at work. It just there's nothing that jumps on the page about it. It would be different if we're talking about a Chicago type team that had a talent like Justin Fields, that had some semblance of talent on the offensive line, or Roquan Smith, who was an absolute monster on defense.
Yeah,
dude, I had a nightmare about him.
Like,
I had a nightmare about him last night.
They don't have the kind of, now granted, DeAndre Swift, capable running back, but is he what Chicago has? Is he what any of these other teams? Is he what Cleveland has? No. There's no one on this Lions team where I'm sitting there going, okay, that guy makes a difference of whether or not the Steelers can win this game. They just don't have that guy. And Jared Goff sure ain't that guy.
No. And of course, here comes Trey trying to troll me. Here's the thing. I didn't say that I didn't want Najee Harris. I said I wanted the offensive line to be shored up because you can't put a running back behind an offensive line that has more holes than a slice of Swiss cheese and say, now go be Walter Payton. That's what I said. But apparently I am a homer because I think that Najee Harris should be the rookie of the year over Jamar Chase.
Oh, no, Jamar Chase. It's Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is...
I curse out the franchise for not even remotely shoring up the offensive line, not for Najee.
To your point, though, Bryan, Najee's been pretty good. So...
He should have, and I didn't even say that he's going to win hands down. I said he should at least be in the discussion.
Now, here's because my thing is, you said two things that really kind of go against each other. Because you just said you can't put a good running back behind a bad offensive line and expect him to be Walter Payton, but you're also saying, hey, maybe he should be the rookie of the year.
I'm saying that he should. I'm saying that he should be in the conversation. Now he is.
But my point is,
he's showing me that I was wrong to question the pick. Now, granted,
that's what I'm saying, because your argument against the pick is being weighed out by you're saying, but give him the rookie of the year though. So it kind of absolves the Steelers offensive line is what I'm saying. This is also that you're also talking to a guy who's heard crazy things like, oh, the Steelers shouldn't have taken a running back in the first round because the position's been devalued. But isn't drafting a running back in the first round who's the best running back in the draft and the career leading rusher at Alabama actually putting more value on the position? That seems like a conflicting statement on something that's actually proving it wrong. Right. So
we'll see. And here's my thing. And here's the thing. And I take, and I know this is Trey trying to just troll me and get a rise out of me. So I'm going to take the bait.
Just bring up Al Horford for Ben Simmons to Trey.
Okay, Al Horford
bring that
Ben
up.
Simmons.
Oh man.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you this, right?
Simmons.
Number one, I watch Steeler games. That does not make me biased. Because I literally just suggested that the Lions might get their first win on Sunday against the Steelers.
And now I will say you're crazy for that one.
And I have trashed this team when it looks like they're not doing what they should do. So how am I biased? I'm not sitting here saying, you know what?
Talking about crazy homers, Trey. I thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah. Seriously.
He says he doesn't. Never mind. Keep going, Bryan.
No. So the whole point of the matter is this. Najee Harris is definitely proven a lot of things. Number one, he's proven that he's a generational talent. He's proven that he can make wine out of a grape just by looking at it. He's just that good, despite what's been going on. What's up?
There's another kind of disproving part to your theory.
Okay.
The guy they took with the second round pick, Pat Freiermuth, he's been pretty good too.
He is, dude. Pat Freiermuth is the truth.
So
every time he's on the field, I scream Muth.
My counter to the theory that people say, "Oh, they should have drafted offensive linemen the first or second round picks." I'm sitting there going, "Did you watch the past 4 games?"
All right,
well, both of those guys are playing well because do they win? Do they win the past 2 games without Pat Freiermuth?
Not even
against
close.
Cleveland and
not
Chicago.
even close. Not even close.
All right, so don't worry, Trey. This question towards Josh, I won't talk about it.
All right, so how about this?
It's not directly towards me.
I'm
Josh.
He's typing with his toes now because Trey can't type.
Earlier. Okay, so Josh, to give you some context, Trey dropped into one of our other Vendetta basketball writers who's also a Celtics fan and said, "Hey, would you do this trade?" And it was Al Horford for Ben Simmons.
Oh.
And then I just made a comment that you can't, like, that's an impossible trade. You can't trade Ben Simmons.
He's asking about
Al Horford.
He's going to ask about the Pat Freiermuth for Heath Miller because he got yelled at for comparing Freiermuth to Heath Miller. Does he deserve to be yelled at?
No, he does not deserve to be yelled at because here's something I'm going to tell people, and it might make people in my own city upset. There's a chance Pat Freiermuth may be better than Heath Miller.
Whoa.
Especially this early in his career.
Dude.
I'd make that case.
Dude, Josh Taylor lives dangerously in this city.
You want to talk about career trajectories? Here's all I'm saying. Look at Heath Miller his rookie year, and that was during that 2005 stretch when they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Look at what they did with Heath Miller his rookie year. Look at what they're doing with Pat Freiermuth already. You can make a case that Freiermuth's on a better trajectory to be better than Heath Miller. So I don't think Trey's crazy.
I think that the reason why Trey got yelled at, number one, is that people in Josh will back me up on this. People in Pittsburgh are so protective. The person that yelled at me was Josh for suggesting the same thing. So apparently you yelled at him.
Because it was so early in the reason what you're saying is basically what I'm going to say here. Steelers fans love Heath Miller.
Heath Miller is beloved, and I'm surprised he hasn't had a statue yet.
Heath Miller. Love him. Okay.
I'm surprised there's no statue.
They love Heath Miller so much that all the other tight ends, specifically white tight ends after Heath Miller before Pat Freiermuth, anytime they made a play, they would still say Heath and not the other guy's name. That's how much Steeler fans love Heath Miller. It is a love based on and bordering on irrationality. So at the time, suggesting that Freiermuth was better than Heath Miller was crazy because at the time we hadn't seen anything yet.
Right.
We hadn't seen anything from Freiermuth. The way they're using him right now, compared to what they did with Heath Miller, the earlier part in his career, they trust Pat Freiermuth a lot, especially in the red zone. But I'd make the case that Pat Freiermuth had a better college career than Heath Miller. But that's a whole nother conversation. The way they're trusting him, he's on a trajectory right now to be better than Heath Miller. The comparisons at the beginning of the season, I wasn't ready to go there yet because I didn't know what they were going to do with them.
Right.
Now that we know what we're doing with them, it makes more sense to me now. And yes, Freiermuth at Penn State was a red zone weapon, and that's absolutely true. Mm-hmm. But Heath Miller coming in as a rookie was a much better blocker than Freiermuth was. Freiermuth better pass catcher, Miller a better blocker, but to Freiermuth's credit, he's starting to learn how to block, and he's embracing the challenge.
He's way and I said this last night. Pat Freiermuth does the things that Eric Ebron doesn't do. And why is Eric Ebron still on this roster?
Because they need to have another body on their roster. But Kevin Rader was activated last night because Ebron was hurt. It's weird that Trey was asking that question because Heath Miller and Pat Freiermuth met before the game, so which was kind of cool. That was a fun moment.
And of course, they yelled Heath. Everyone in the crowd kept yelling.
Fun story about Heath Miller. I don't want to get too off topic. Mm-hmm. I used to produce Ike Taylor's radio show like 6 or 7 years ago. Ike Taylor never referred to Heath Miller as Heath. He always called him Earl because weird fact, Heath Miller's actual first name is Earl. His middle name is Heath.
Oh, wow.
So Ike Taylor always called him Earl. And it would throw people off because during the game, he'd be like, Earl. And it would be like, Ike, who's Earl? He'd be like, oh, Heath Miller. I call him Earl. He would say, I'll call him Earl because that's his government name. And that's
his government name. I love it. That was
a big running joke. Ike Taylor always called him Earl. So there was a good period. And Bryan, you may remember this. After I learned that Earl was Heath Miller's first name, every time Heath Miller would make a play, everybody else would be like, Heath. And I'd throw up like an old "My name is Earl" gif and be like, "Hey Earl," And hardly anyone, like next to no one, got the reference.
I remember
like one of those really small jokes was trying to throw in there. People just weren't feeling it. That's
hilarious. I love it. I love it so much. That's the one thing I love. Shout out. That's the one thing I love about Ike Taylor, man. He's such a fun dude to listen to when he starts talking. He is so fun.
Fun to work with too. Really down to earth guy. Did a lot of stuff with him. We would do a lot of like on location shows and things like that. And my wife would come out, and my wife loved Ike. Like he was just there were a couple of shows where like my family would come out. My family loved him. He was just a really down to earth dude and a great dude to work with. So shout out to Ike.
Awesome. All right, let's move on. This is our last 1 o'clock game for Sunday.
Trey got us all off track.
He did too. 5-4 Browns going into Gillette to play the 5-4 Pats. I don't know who I want to root for in this game because I don't like either. But you know what? I will always root against Bill Belichick. Like always and forever, each moment. So I'm actually going to vote. I'm actually going to throw my support for the mistake behind the lake. And
I actually like the Browns in this one too, believe it or not.
Okay.
I like the Browns in this game, and for a couple different reasons, but primarily because, and here's where it gets a little crazy, because if you're the Patriots, you have to take advantage of the fact that they are not going to have Nick Chubb in this game, which makes it a little bit harder for them. But they can still run the football. So It's not like it's that big of a deal. I don't know. I just feel like the Browns defense is good enough to give Mac Jones a hard enough time. Here's the guy you got to worry about if you're the Browns facing the Patriots. If the Patriots are able to run the ball, you got to keep an eye on my boy Hunter Henry, Woo Pig Suey. So,
sir,
that's the guy you got to worry about for New England. But I actually like the Browns in this game, though. Believe it or not, I like Cleveland.
J-Law?
I'm really torn because I did see today that all but one Browns running back is in COVID protocol right now.
Jeez. That could be the reason why they lose this game, honestly.
And that's like the thing for me.
Well, were they hanging out with Aaron Rodgers?
Like you mentioned that they could still run the ball, and it's like and it's like they can almost trot out anybody, but to only have one running back from that running back core that's going to be available, and I don't know, and that could be the deciding factor. That could be maybe the offensive line opens up a hole and the running back's not experienced enough and he misses it, or he is late to an assignment, misses an assignment, doesn't run a route correctly because he doesn't know too deep into the playbook. Maybe they can't dig too deep in the playbook because they're just having to sign guys real quickly to the practice squad, get them in a physical, and then throw them into the active roster.
Yeah, you're not wrong. If there's something that does handcuff Cleveland, it's the fact that if they can't have a couple running backs available for this game, that does handcuff them. I would totally admit that.
So and as much as I hate to do this, I think I'm slightly leaning towards the Patriots in this one. I just like I said, Josh, I think you and I are in agreement that if the running game can't get anywhere, then there's really no way that the Browns can win this.
I agree.
Yeah, I
totally agree.
All right.
I just saw my guy Hunter Henry might not be playing. We might not have our guy Jackson. So apparently he's on the injury report. If that's the case, I'll be very, very disappointed. But we'll see.
All right, 4 o'clock games. Let's go through these relatively quick. Vikings, Chargers. I got the Chargers winning this one. I see the Chargers. Chargers got this one.
Yep.
Jackson. All right.
Chargers, yeah.
Are we even going to waste breath on Cardinals, Panthers?
Oh, it's Arizona.
Yeah. Panthers going into
Arizona.
Even if Kyler Murray doesn't play again, it's still Arizona.
And like the captain of the Titanic, I will be going down with the Sam Darnold ship. That is what will drag me down and drag me under.
I love
all of us, all the Sam Darnold defenders will play the violins together as the ship goes down.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure playing with you.
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen.
Oh man.
All right. Eagles, Broncos. Eagles going to the Mile High City. Let me see. Pat Surtain the second not going to be on the field. Honestly, I'm gonna think I'm gonna give a little bit of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the cross-state Eagles there. Maybe, I don't know. This is a hard one.
I'm actually thinking the Broncos in this one.
Okay.
I feel like the Broncos are the team here. And we saw what they did against Dallas. I think the thing that stuck out against Dallas was that they really bottled up Dallas's run game. They kept Zeke quiet. They did a lot of things right in that game against Dallas. And can they do that a second week in a row? And they did that on the road against Dallas.
Right.
So if they can do that on the road against the NFC East's best team by a country mile, what can they do at home?
2 country miles.
Not as good as that's not as good as Dallas. I like Denver at home in this game.
Jackson?
Yeah, I like Denver at home too. It's just kind of like a gut feeling. I can't really explain these. I mean, it's just 2 teams that just aren't great by any means, but just gut tells me Broncos because of situation. Just because again, home game, Eagles not that great of a team coming off a big win like that. Broncos defense could be maybe building some momentum. Who knows? Maybe the Von Miller trade just freed them. Now they're just all running wild.
And Teddy Bridgewater's not making a ton of mistakes. And Tim Patrick had a big game against Dallas. It's just I don't know.
It's another odd team. And
I'm just disappointed.
It's an odd matchup.
I'm just disappointed that Josh didn't pick up on the Broncos defense running wild.
Oh, yeah, I totally missed that one. That flew over my head.
And I'm a big proponent of Teddy Bridgewater. Like I said, I like seeing him play in his game because he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I don't know. There's just something in me that's sort of looking at this Eagles team like, maybe, who knows?
Teddy's still going to strut. 70% completion percentage. Teddy's going to strut.
Absolutely.
You better strut.
Absolutely.
You better strut. You better strut.
You got to strut. The Seahawks, 3-5 Seahawks, welcoming back Russell Wilson. Going to the Packers. Now, do we have word yet if Aaron Rodgers has cleared the protocol and he's going to be on the field, or is this still going to be a Jordan Love-led team?
It has not been confirmed, but tomorrow is Wednesday. I imagine. Knowing that tomorrow's Wednesday, we'll probably get some more clarity on this. Let me put it this way. If Aaron Rodgers plays, I like Green Bay. If he does not, I like Seattle. That is the thing that makes the difference for me, period.
That's kind of where I'm at, too.
The same.
It's going to be a good game no matter what because the 2 of the best quarterbacks in the game today, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. It's going to be a good game, but if Aaron Rodgers is on that field, Packers win.
You saw what he did without 2 of his best receivers on the road against Arizona. He's a difference maker.
He really is.
And he just leveraged himself into another contract there.
We talked earlier about these are like the 2 front running teams, or at least 2 of the 3 to sign OBJ. OBJ has cleared waivers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he is free to sign whoever he wants right now.
Nice. And then Sunday night game, Chiefs going to Vegas to play the Raiders. I don't know why they're playing in Las Vegas when they're the Oakland Raiders, but okay. Division game.
Los Angeles Raiders.
Yeah, the Los Angeles Oakland Raiders. So this is going to be. See, this is another difficult one because the Chiefs they're not the Chiefs of the last couple of years, and the Raiders are just they're
so bad.
They're making things happen. And everyone was like, "Oh, well, Melvin Ingram's going to come in and help this defense." Yep. Sure he is. Good old Melvin. Nothing beats him.
I think their problems lie a lot more in the secondary by all the pictures of Tyrann Mathieu turning around with his hands up like this, looking at the other safeties and corners as they get beat one-on-one down the field.
Yeah,
poor Honey Badger.
It's been a tough time for Mathieu and Sorensen. It's just
I feel really bad for Honey Badger. I feel so bad for Honey Badger because he's so good.
I mean, he's got a Super Bowl, so
yeah, that's true.
It's wild because you got him and other guys in that defense going at it with Chiefs fans on Instagram.
Calling them like the most toxic fan base in the NFL.
Toxic fan base in the NFL, man. It's getting kind of crazy. It's starting to unravel in Kansas City. Yeah. But this is what happens. This is what happens when your fan base has been starved for a winner for so long. You finally get there. You develop this reputation and this expectation for your franchise, and you start to waver for just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And Robert Kraft, here's an interesting story that's kind of tied to football. Robert Kraft talked to the Red Sox owners after they won the World Series in 2004. He said, winning one is easy. He said, winning the second one's the hard part. That's when it gets really hard. He said, because the expectation to win is going to be there. Fans start to turn on you if you don't get it. He's like, winning again is what makes it more difficult. So Chiefs are starting to learn that. They're figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. While I want to say I don't want to count out Patrick Mahomes, the man has no defense. It's like, and the Raiders have been playing pretty well. The Raiders have been getting it done. So I'm giving this one to the Raiders.
So 2 times this season the Raiders haven't scored, or 3 times they haven't scored at least 20 points. One was against the Chargers, one was against the Bears, and last week against the Giants. Other than that, when they're at home, they score pretty consistently. 30 against Baltimore, 30 against Miami, 30 against Philly. And against this Chiefs defense that gives up a lot of points, they'll do it again. I like Vegas.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vegas also. They've been playing ironically, well, not ironically, but just really well ever since Gruden left.
So much better since Gruden left.
And I think there is a correlation there, but between the two, the first couple games of the season, even though they started hot, but then lost back-to-back Chargers, Bears, Gruden's gone, they're hot again, which the Giants game last week, that was pretty bad loss to the G-men, but they were across the country. They were in New York. You can definitely chalk that up to
West Coast team traveling to the East Coast. It usually favors it. It's usually against them most days. I totally agree with that.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're better. They're better with Gruden gone.
They are, and so I think they take this one.
All right, and then the Monday night game, Rams Niners. Do we even want to? I mean, is there anything that can be said, or is it pretty much Niners are going to get their ass whooped?
Yeah, it's the Rams. I mean, not to mention the fact that the Rams are coming off that loss to the Titans. They're going to sort things out here. So the Rams will get right, and they'll hang up a 3-possession win on the Niners in this one.
All right, fair enough.
I'm hoping so, because again, that does great for my fantasy team. I got Matthew Stafford and I got Robert Woods too, and then Van Jefferson's on my bench. Although I'm fixing to start him the way that Stafford's been throwing Jefferson the ball.
And the Rams still have dominance incarnate in the form of Aaron Donald. So there's that.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, and also in that receiving core, I saw someone call Cooper Kupp this, and I've been calling him this the past couple weeks, but it fits well with Matthew Stafford as his quarterback, Vanillatron, the way that he's been playing this year. I can't take credit for that one, but unlike the Gates of Hell, I can't take credit for that one. But Vanillatron is great. I have adopted it. Cooper Kupp is now Vanillatron.
That's actually not bad. I'm a Cooper Kupp guy. I've been a Cooper Kupp guy from the almost the very beginning. And people were just like, why? I'm like, have you seen Cooper Kupp play? I'm a Cooper Kupp dude. I like that.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp is on point. Cooper Kupp, in a lot of ways, he's just – sometimes I just want to say, man, that's just not fair. How you going to do somebody like that? That's just not right.
It's rude. Sometimes it's just rude.
You know what? You know who Cooper Kupp kind of reminds me of in a lot? He reminds me of – a way more athletic version of Julian Edelman. You know, he's got a little bit more, he's got more size to him, more athleticism, and he just knows what to do. He just knows what to do, man. If it's, I mean, to me, I almost even want to say it's almost like a quarterback at the wide receiver position, you know, because you always look at the quarterback as like the thinking position and blah, blah, blah. But Cooper Kupp
to be fair, that's what Edelman was.
Yes, he was.
He was a quarterback at Kent State. So,
yeah,
Kupp is close to a 2,000-yard season pace. He's got 1,019 yards and 10 touchdowns on 74 receptions.
Damn.
Oh boy.
Damn.
That's a fantastic season for anybody in the NFL. That's the first 9 games for Cooper Kupp this season.
All right, so let's do a quick shift now to the NBA before we get out of here. Colin Sexton with a torn meniscus is out indefinitely. I don't think we're seeing him again until next season.
That I hate that so much because first off, the name Sexland may be the greatest nickname for a duo in any professional sport with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. So I'm upset that we're losing that for the majority of time. But also this Cavs team it's been really fun to watch. They played my Memphis Grizzlies to start the season, so I got to see them really early, and I got to catch like 2 other games of theirs so far this season. And it is a wild name.
I love it though.
They've embraced it. That's the next t-shirt I'm getting. I'm getting a Sexland shirt.
And it's even better being in Cleveland because it's already known as the land. So
exactly. It's a beautiful, it's a perfect nickname. Match it made in heaven.
I gotta hit my brother for one of those. He lives in Cleveland. I'll give him a call.
Which one?
My brother Micah. He's in Cleveland. He's been there a couple of years. My oldest brother.
Now it's Bryan's turn to be frozen, but it's upsetting to see Colin go down like this. Like I didn't think the Cavs were going to do anything major this season, but they're just one of those young, fun teams to watch, especially because they run Lauri Markkanen, who's almost 7 foot at the 3 spot at small forward. And then, but I mean, I guess this just means that Ricky Rubio gets to step up and have career nights again and again, like he did in the Garden the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Find a silver lining in this one if you're Cleveland. Maybe this turns an opportunity to get a decent pick and land another good talent.
There you go.
Start to build that franchise up. So
there you go.
Just don't miss with the pick.
There you go. Darren Williams is set to fight in a boxing match. He's going to be going up against 16-year NFL veteran and former Pro Bowler, the immortal Frank Gore. Pittsburgh's own Frank Gore.
What is this universe that we live in where this happens?
Now, it's saying that Darren Williams has trained for years in mixed martial arts and boxing and owns a stake in Fortis MMA, a Dallas area MMA training facility. All right, that's cool. But just because you own a stake in it and you've trained in it, don't mean you're going to be good at it. Look at Jon Favreau in that episode of Friends when he decided he was going to be an MMA fighter.
Oh, okay. Favreau. Or in the scene in Iron Man when he gets
exactly. Take it from someone that's fought MMA.
Snoop is commentating,
and with Snoop if Snoop is the commentator, like that's just on point right there.
Snoop commentating is funny though.
It really is.
Oh yeah,
it's hilarious.
It really is.
But I got a question though.
Yeah.
If Darren Williams loses, does his trainer get fired? Or did that only work when he was in Utah?
I think it only worked when he was in Utah.
It was only Jerry Sloan too, which is like, what?
Yeah.
You got who fired? Huh?
Right. Now here's the thing. As someone who's trained MMA, fought MMA, it's one thing to be in the gym. It's another thing when you got another human being up in front of you. I don't care how long you've been training. Some folks are built for it. Some folks aren't.
But is Frank Gore built for it though?
Pittsburgh's own Frank Gore? Peabody High School's own Frank Gore?
Frank Gore played a lot of years in the NFL. If anybody has taken some punishment to the point where they don't fear much, it's probably Frank Gore. Because that man has gone through it.
Yeah.
And plus, Frank Gore went to Peabody back when going to Peabody and coming out in one piece was like a badge of honor. That school is now referred to as the Obama Academy. But back when Josh and I were coming up, and Frank Gore is a couple years older than me, it was Peabody. And Peabody was rough. You know what I always pictured Peabody as? East Side High from Lean On Me at the very beginning before Joe Clark showed up. Okay. Frank Gore can throw hands. Frank Gore can fight. That was a nice Darren Williams they had once.
I look at fighting MMA the same way I look at playing linebacker, because at certain positions they have people expect to have certain temperaments, certain mindsets. Like quarterbacks are always like the type A. They're the borderline OCD, or some of them might even be OCD guys. They just have to have everything has to be perfect. Running backs have a little bit more of a laid back disposition. Offensive linemen are considered more of the thinkers. The wide receivers are probably a little bit more flashy. But then there's linebackers. And everybody will tell you, you got to be a little bit crazy to play linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
I look at MMA fighters the same way I look at linebackers. You got to have a little bit of crazy. And
yes, you do.
Right, there's the guys that are in the gym that train well. They might have the chiseled bodies. They might pop the bags and the pads real good. And you might have that guy that has that little bit of crazy.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying. All right,
absolutely.
If let me put it to you this way. If you can identify the guy in the fight that has a little bit of crazy, it's probably him, and you're probably going to lose.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Shout out to I'm only of Nigerian descent, but shout out to Kamaru Usman getting that win against Colby the Mouth Covington. Doesn't make me sad to see him get beat again. Finally, talking about fighting though. It's going to be a Jokic-Morris family feud. Like, you had the Hatfields and the McCoys, the Capulets and the Montagues. Now you've got the Jokic and the Morris family. I
got something about, and my take on this has nothing to do with the Jokic's.
Okay.
Remember last season when Boogie was still a Houston Rocket?
Mm-hmm.
And the Lakers played the Rockets, and Boogie and Markieff Morris got into it? They didn't want that smoke with Boogie. Markieff Morris might have been trying to walk after Boogie, and they had people holding him back. But I think after a while, LeBron and other people got in his ear. They were like, dude,
he'll kill you.
That's Boogie.
Yeah.
Boogie's crazy. Here's how different it was with Boogie. Markieff Morris pushed Boogie, and Boogie just no-sold him and just looked at him and pretty much was telling him, you do not want it with me right now. You do not want the smoke. If you don't want it with Boogie, I'd leave the Jokic brothers alone.
Listen, man.
That's all I'm saying.
Listen, I say this.
I'm gonna leave it there.
And I saw where other people were saying this too, and I was thinking about this last night after it happened. You don't want the smoke with these Eastern Europeans, man. These families, these people that grew up in the former Soviet bloc.
Dude, these guys are gangster.
You do not want the smoke with them. I know people were saying Butler by infinity. The Heat wowould roll up easy. It's like as much as I crap on Stephen A, he did have a great quote today. He said that, and he the Morris brothers, they probably grew up dudes, guns on their street and everything. Jokic family grew up with bombs dropping on their head.
That's what
in
I'm
civil
saying.
Wars.
I mean,
they are literally a different breed of human being.
Here, I'll take that a step further, Jackson. They in real estate, they call neighborhoods that the Morrises probably grew up in, that Bryan, you and I probably grew up in. They call those areas war zones. The Jokic brothers actually lived in war zones.
Yes.
Eastern Europe in the 80s and 90s, those are actual war zones.
War zones.
You don't know what they had to go through to get to where they are.
You don't know what they had to do to survive.
No.
You don't want to find out. That's
just like you remember.
Saying.
Now, here's the thing, and Josh, I know you'll remember, Jackson. I'm going to give you a little bit of more insight on the life of Bryan Tann, and this is a co-starring Josh Taylor. Okay. So Josh and I both went to Shenley High School. Josh, you remember the influx of the Haitian population?
I do indeed.
Back then?
Yes.
Now, back in the early and mid 90s, Jackson, just to give you a little bit of a history lesson, a lot of stuff went down in Haiti, and Haitians were getting out. And when Haitians got here, we American Black folks learned they were a different breed of rugged, because we had a teacher at our school who was from Haiti, and he used his money and his influence to get his family here.
Yeah.
And there were 3 brothers. one was in my year, one was a year ahead of me, and one was in Josh's year.
One was my year. Yep.
Yeah, one was your year. The youngest boy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
I can't remember either.
I don't even.
There was a sister too.
And there was a sister.
There was a sister. Yeah.
I remember the one brother's name was Francois. That's all I remember. And I remember there was this one girl she hung out with my cousin Kavana Woods. I cannot remember her friend's name, but she was Amazonian built. I'm talking. See, it's what we call Jackson, red bone. Homegirl was red, and you don't mess with red bone. You don't. She and one of these Haitian dudes were getting at it. I mean, they were yelling at each other. And the only reason why I think he didn't put it on her, the only two reasons why it didn't turn physical. Two. One, he knew he would have to answer to his uncle. And two, she made herself out to be so stupid when she called him a Jamaican bitch that it was like, I can't even hit you because you're so dumb, I might make you worse. But I remember one guy in gym, I think it was my gym class, him and one of those Haitians got into it. Tore that ass up. I mean, he dug in that ass like he was checking his prostate. Beat his ass. So when you try, the whole point I'm making is this. When you come from the hood, you've got survival credentials, no doubt. But when someone comes to a country as a refugee, running from a war-torn area, leave their asses alone, because that makes your hood look like luxury.
It's a different level of hood, man.
I'm telling you, the Jokic family, they're probably supplying like a local militia in Afghanistan.
Whoa. You trying to get us in trouble?
I'm not saying anything about him. I'll keep my mouth shut.
Hey, that's all Jackson.
Hey, I'm just saying,
ain't got nothing.
man.
Jokic family, we good.
My name is Bennett,
No,
and
I love
ain't
the
in
Jokic
it.
family. No, I'm defending them on this. I'm saying that don't mess with them. Don't mess with them. Like the Morris twins can go be the fake tough guys that they think they are in the league, and then especially Marcus. I think Marcus is the worst of the twins. I mean, he wants to go on Twitter and defend his brother about getting hit in the back. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about you punching Luka in the back of the head. Let's talk about you like Gears of War style curb stomping Luka's hurt ankle during the playoffs. You know, let's talk about you cheap shotting Jay Crowder while you were with the Knicks in the Garden, and then making comments where basically like, you know, it's just very feminine, the type of things they do, these misogynistic comments that Marcus is making. Marcus is by far the worst of the two.
I love hearing Jackson bring those receipts.
And once again, I'm gonna say it again, and they didn't want it with Boogie.
Mm-hmm. I love this quote. I love this quote from the Jokic brothers. You should leave this the way it is instead of publicly threatening our brother. Your brother made a dirty play first. If you want to make a step further, be sure we will be waiting.
I'm pretty sure the Jokic brothers grew up in the same house that John Wick did. For, you know, that they talk about in John Wick 3. That's where the Jokic family comes from. Don't mess with these guys.
He brings up a good point, though. He brings up a good point. Markieff Morris started it. Why are you pushing the guy with his back turned? You did two things wrong. First of all, you went after a guy that had his back turned. And then two, you turned your back on him.
Right.
You had it coming.
When you do something shady, don't take your eyes off of the victim.
Don't push a dude with his back turned, and then you walk around and you walk away and you try to pull a Kevin Hart. I wasn't ready. What you doing?
Because you know what?
You really thought Jokic wasn't going to do something? You really thought you were going to push Jokic with his back turned, and his reaction was not going to be someone might die tonight?
Seriously.
Really?
Look, I think the Morris brothers...
Anybody's going to retaliate after that if they get pushed with their back turned.
Morris brothers got to remember one key thing. a lot of white folks in America have a fear against people of color. But white folks from Eastern Europe, I don't think they know what fear is.
They don't care.
No.
There is no such. Yo, Andrew Galata went into a fight with Riddick Bowe and didn't know he was fighting a former world heavyweight champion. What did he do? He punched his dick out of the back of his neck twice without a care in the world. You seriously? And he's only from Poland.
Only Poland.
He's only from Poland.
Poor Poland, man.
These
He'll never
guys
catch a break.
These guys are from the former Soviet Union.
Oh,
dude, they will put your pet alive, allegedly, into the freaking garbage disposal and look at you and say, why are you crying? I don't know a lot about people from Eastern Europe, but I know what I've seen in movies, and I ain't messing with them.
I'm telling you, man. Jokic learned how to play basketball. That was one of the skills that they were teaching them in that house from that John Wick grew up in. Like that whole family. That was his skill that he learned.
Jokic was doing dribbling drills, dodging bullets and hand grenades.
He was doing that one-legged, one-handed fade away from the free throw line when he was 6.
Yo, all I know is this. I want to see a dude straight out of Ireland go into the NFL. I want to see, and I want him to be an offensive lineman because, offensive linemen are just mean.
Just find a real life Nigel Gruff like on the replacements. Just find that.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Oh, man. I love Courtney for this right now. Yes. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You know what? I seriously, you know what? Someone get Tony Khan on the horn. I want it booked. The Morris brothers versus the Jokic brothers. Steel cage. Throw the damn towel match.
If you see a tweet from the Jokic brothers that says if he dies, he dies, you know what just went down. You know it's over.
I swear the Jokic brothers are actually the Jokic brothers are actually like the real life Dragos. That's how. Well, see, that's how you know Rocky was just a movie. There ain't no way a little 5'8" Italian dude from Philly is beating a 7-foot tall freaking dude from Russia. That ain't happening. I'm curious to see what the director's cut of Rocky 4 is going to be, because I think the Rocky's 4 director's cut is that Rocky actually does get hit and his head goes into the 5th row. Because damn. All right. That's enough out of us tonight. As always, Josh, your monthly additions to this show are priceless.
By priceless, you mean they always go in a really awkward direction, but I love it.
And that's the kind of direction that this show needs to always be in, especially when the company is owned by a guy like Trey Duck.
You're not wrong. You aren't wrong. I appreciate you guys, though, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate Trey too. I gotta do another show when Trey's around, because I'm sure he and I have plenty to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna tell you the truth. You know what? I think that we need to book it now when it's time to start talking baseball again.
Yes.
We need to have so basically I'm thinking in March, Tanndemonium, all baseball talk show.
Assuming a labor stoppage doesn't ruin the whole offseason.
Fair enough.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Assuming that doesn't happen, I'm in.
Shout out to the Atlanta Braves as well. The organization that Henry Aaron, I'm not going to call him Hank because I heard after he passed that he didn't like being called Hank. So Henry Aaron, who was with that team when they were in Milwaukee, went with them down south at a time when going down south was not a smart move.
He was not thrilled about it?
Nope. But in his 80 plus years of life, he spent over 70 of those years as a member of that organization. And I believe that the Braves won that for him. It had nothing to do with the All-Star game moving at all. I really wish people would stop that. Quit making it political and maybe just make it that they won one for Hammer and Henry.
Yeah, RIP to the Hammer.
Yeah.
Easily, without question, one of the greatest hitters of all time.
I wish I had
also, I'll throw this out there too. The Braves also continue to fuel my theory of the teams winning championships in recent years have done it with two things: kids and pitching. And by kids, I mean developing homegrown talent. That's through your system. That's because baseball is a young man's game. And the second thing is adequate pitching. And they had a lot of both.
Agreed. Yeah. And I will still say that Hank Aaron is still the home run king to me. I do not recognize that other guy. I don't recognize him. I just don't. Hammer and Henry is still the guy.
I wish I had the graphic in front of me, but there was a lot of Henry Aaron coincidences going on this year. Like, it's the year he died. You know, they had 44. There was a lot of like things involving the number 44 and Aaron and the Aaron family this season. That was, I'll try to find it.
Yeah, put it up on the page. Put it up on the Twitter feed too.
I will. If I find it, I'll tag you both. I'll tag the show and I'll tag Josh in it.
I'm curious. Right. I'm very curious. I love random like stats and information, so I'm all for it.
All right. So with that being said, Josh, tell everyone should know by now how they can find you. But just in case we have some newcomers, how can folks find you?
Easiest way on social media: Josh Taylor HD. Bryan knows what the HD stands for. As far as where you can find me, as far as where I work on TV, CBS Pittsburgh is the easiest way to do it. CBSPittsburgh.com. If you're not in Pittsburgh, you want to watch online. Also, radio 93.7 The Fan, usually Sunday mornings. Next Sunday morning will be 7 to 10. So if you can't find it, Odyssey app, click on 93.7 The Fan. You can find me there. And in the coming weeks, I'll be doing some work with Duquesne basketball. So a couple of Duquesne games on ESPN Plus on their platform. I'll be doing play-by-play, so I'm excited about that because college basketball is officially back tonight. So,
are you going to be doing some? Are you going to be hanging out with Adam Gusky?
No, I will be probably doing those games with Ellis Cannon. Usually, if I'm
Ellis Cannon is. I used to love listening to Ellis Cannon when they were on 104.7. I used to love listening to Ellis Cannon. I love Ellis Cannon.
Planet E, man. He's
Planet E.
He's the best to work with, man. I
wasn't even aware that he was, because I hadn't heard him on the air forever.
He's been doing a lot of TV these days. He does a lot on Channel 11 and stuff like that. But yeah, he's one of the best, like one of the best humans to work with. I love Ellis Cannon. He's a great guy.
I love him so much. You should bring him to the wedding.
Dude, don't say that because he will come too. Like, seriously,
I want him to come. I want him to come. I invited Diamond Dallas Page. He goes, I don't do weddings unless it's my daughter getting married or it's my girlfriend's family, and I can't say no.
Fair enough.
So, all right. I mean, I figure, I got to have some Pittsburgh sports talk royalty at my wedding. I got to legitimize it.
I'll ask him to see what he's up to.
All right, cool.
His wife might not let him, but we'll find out.
She can come too. Why not?
Who knows? She might be okay with it. Like, get out of the house and go.
All right. See. Hey, I found the stats real quickly. If you guys want to hear them, the last one.
All right. I need share. If you pull it up, why don't you share your screen?
I just have it on my phone.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But let's do it. So the Braves won with number 44 in the outfield. Of course, in remembrance of Aaron, won 44 games before the All-Star break, 44 games after the All-Star break. Ronald Acuna was hurt when they were 44-44. Their manager was his 44th year with the Braves. GM, 44 years old, won the World Series in the 44th week of 2021. And this is the last one that I need to see if it's true. But apparently they scored 44 runs in total in the World Series.
That's wow, nice. That is insane.
That is like that last one I said, I don't know if it's true or not, but
we'll have to get the Vendetta fact checkers on that.
Lots of 44s surrounding this season. So it's
that is cool.
That is cool. Intense. I love that.
So cool.
All right. So with that being said, you can catch the Tanndemonium Sports Show every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Broadcasting live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. Follow the show, Tanndemonium VSM, on Twitter. And even though I guess it makes me a homer and it makes me biased, I live tweet all the Steelers games this season. Once the football season is over, I'm gonna try to maneuver that around to basketball, probably the Bulls, because that's my basketball team who's doing pretty good so far this year. DeMar DeRozan doing it. But
I'm a Laker fan. I don't want to talk about it right now.
Fair enough. So you're taking the Jackson Law Miami Dolphin approach. I appreciate that.
Hey, I'll talk about basketball all day, man. My Grizzlies have been great to start the
year. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our producer, the producer of the Stars. She is the first ballot Hall of Famer when it comes to producing this show. Courtney, don't call a plumber.
Courtney.
Oh, Josh, we since doing Chuck Norris jokes is getting old. They're Courtney Plummer facts now.
Oh my God.
Like, you do realize that the only reason why the Braves actually really won the World Series is that Courtney Plummer glared at the logo of the Houston Astros once when she was 2.
God.
Yeah.
Courtney's the greatest. Absolutely.
She really is. She really is. So, of course, don't forget, you can also follow Jackson Law, independent of the show, J Law 1995 on the tweet machine. And of course, you can find me at Bryan Tann, author, independent of the show. But when it comes to show stuff, that's where I'm tweeting. So make sure you check us out next week. Oh, and I almost forgot. How could I have almost forgot that? Make sure you go to vendettasportsmedia.com to get all of our talent in one place. We got new articles on the daily, on the hourly. We've always got something going on. Check out stuff hey, you might even get excited if you follow us on YouTube, because if certain writers aren't putting stuff out there, Trey's going to have Survivor Vendetta, which is amazing. It's actually kind of fun. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you stay on here because
does get brought out.
Absolutely. And make sure you stay tuned in to the Vendetta Twitch feed tonight, because I believe tonight is the fantasy show tonight. So make sure you check it out. So we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next week. See ya.